Okay. So some of our consultants have a few questions. So the first one would be, could you give us some pointers for Nelson? Why would students need to choose Nelson, or what are the advantages of choosing Nelson?
Right, great. So it's just not about Nelson as such. Okay, what we're trying to promote is New Zealand. New Zealand as a study destination. Okay, one. Second is Nelson being geographically, it is in the South Island. Okay, if you look at it's the top of the South Island, right? So we have two campuses, Nelson and Blenheim. Okay, now there are a lot of key points to look at. One is it's a small destination, not too big, not too expensive. Okay, and when it comes to the port, it's very close to the port. Okay, so what it means for students is, if they're looking at import export in terms of production companies, in terms of import and export companies, so there are a lot of them in terms of opportunities. Okay, now the biggest and most important thing is, as a region we are very well known for wine, viticulture and wine making. Okay, so over 80% of the wine which is produced in New Zealand is from this region, Marlborough region. Okay, what it means for students is they can target looking for job opportunities in the same industries. Okay, now cost of living, small city which is easy to commute. Okay, it's not going to be as busy as other cities. So when it comes to family, when it comes to a newcomer, they don't want to be in lost in bigger cities. Okay, though some students prefer those areas, but in case if someone is looking for quiet and easygoing, who could focus on studies, they can target coming and studying in Nelson region.
Question is, can they apply for masters without a degree? So with a diploma and work experience, that is managerial work experience with 5 years or more, if there are any pathways without a bachelor's?
So great question. Now what you have to remember is, masters is not a regular masters, it is by research. Okay, which means they need good research experience or some background where they have studied. Okay, now from a Sri Lankan point of it, not many students study bachelors. Okay, they go for a higher diploma or a 2-year or a 1-year diploma. Okay, so that's accepted. Okay, not all the time. Some qualifications are accepted with 2 or 3 different different diplomas along with managerial experience of 5 to 8 years. Okay, now what we need to remember is, if they have got research component in the diploma, which is not the case every time. One. Second is, if they've got experience with which is into managing people, strategy. Okay, so that is more important for these qualifications. Okay, because it is quite an intense program. What faculty expects is, can they manage time to submit the assignments on time? Can they balance their life and studies in New Zealand or not? Okay, if it's a mature student who has got some work experience, who's got some qualification, they know how to balance things out. Otherwise it's difficult. Okay, so answer is yes, but not for masters. They can be accepted for postgraduate diploma, and some cases if they've got a lot of experience, for example 10 to 15 years experience, then yes. Okay, but at a senior managerial level. Okay.
Yes. Any courses related to science that our students can apply for?
Yeah, so what we have is, for example, if they're looking for information technology, or if they're looking at viticulture, wine and viticulture, okay, wine making and viticulture, okay, so those are some of the programs, or bachelors of nursing. If you're looking for bachelors of science and specific, we don't offer at NMIT, but there are other institutes who are under Te Pokinga. Like there are other institutes who offer those qualifications. Okay, so you can contact us in specific, for example engineering or bachelors of science in specific, then let us know so that we can guide you for other institutes. Okay.
So in terms of accommodation facilities, what kind of support can we obtain for students and also probably families, because we do have a lot of families who want to apply with their children and spouse?
Yep. So the good thing is most of ITPs who are under Te Pokinga would offer this support. Okay, but at NMIT what we have is, we have a dedicated student services team. Okay, now what you need to understand is New Zealand has a, like all the bigger countries, also has a housing crisis. Okay, so what you need to do is ask the student to keep us informed well in advance. Okay, so student services team, which is on the page number 24, okay, you would find the information where a student gets the support. Okay, so it could be from airport pickup, okay, till they graduate. Anything in between is going to be our responsibility. Okay, which means we're not going to look at helping them to find the accommodation throughout, but we will guide you where the accommodations are available, whom to contact, and they can take it forward from there. Okay, so most of the cases what happens is student don't inform us well in advance. Okay, so student well-being team cannot support them when it comes to last minute. Okay, because Nelson as a region, it's also a tourist destination for local which is Kiwis. Okay, so a lot of New Zealanders travel to Nelson for their holiday. Okay, so it's a top holiday destination, which means the accommodations are booked during peak vacation time or long holidays and etc. Okay, so please request your students to keep in touch with us well in advance. As soon as they have applied for a visa, they can they should contact us so that we can start looking for an accommodation, and if needed they should book those accommodation. Okay, keep them informed saying, in case my visa is not happening, I would like to withdraw this. Okay, and sometimes they might have to book it 1 week or 2 weeks in advance before the date arrival date. Okay, so it's better to book in advance rather than not to have an accommodation. Okay, so page number 24 gives information, but what you need to do is keep in touch with the admission team, okay, as well as student well-being. Okay, so student well-being is the caretaker or team who looks after supporting all our students from the time they arrive till they graduate, anything in between. So it could be pastoral care, well-being, issues with health, or studies, or anything. Okay.
In terms of scholarships, are there any specific criteria, opportunities that a student can get further scholarship as opposed to the study grant or above the study grant?
Yeah, so right now, if you look at the fees, it's kept at a very nominal level. Okay, so we have only one option, which is study grant. We don't offer anything other than that. So it's only $10,000 scholarship which is offered for masters, and some scholarship for some study grant option for postgraduate diploma. That's it.
So they also want to know if there's going to be a further increase in the near future.
That's a good question, and if I had a crystal ball, I would have definitely gone into that and looked for information. But what I know from the past history is they don't look at increasing quite a bit. Okay, it's going to be very marginal, which could be 1% or maximum 3%. Okay, it's not going to be much difference. Okay, the only reason now it's been increased from the previous fees is last 3 to 4 years we hadn't increased at all, because we knew that it's not going to be the right time for us to increase the fees during COVID. The borders were closed, and we also wanted to support our international students, keeping the fees nominal. Okay, so it's gonna increase, okay, but not much.
Okay, so one of the most popular courses that a lot of students come here to check would be a Master of Applied Management. So
Yes.
could you give them a little bit of an understanding of the specializations and what benefits the students can gain from applying for this program?
Yeah, absolutely. So Masters of Applied Management is by research. Okay, now this program is for 18 months. Okay, now the advantage of our applied management program is they get to choose either just the applied management without any major, or they can choose business analytics, healthcare management, or logistics and supply chain. Now all the three majors which we're offering is highly in demand. Okay, so which means something which to look forward once they graduate in terms of opportunities in terms of the industry. Okay, now we all know how a healthcare sector is across the globe. Pandemic and COVID was one of the greatest example. Okay, so it plays a very important role in terms of New Zealand healthcare sector. Okay, so yes, student from healthcare background, it could be nursing or it could be a physiotherapist, is highly recommended. But there are some students who want to get into healthcare background can also study that. Okay, but based on application criteria. Okay, so some applications are accepted based on their background or their science background or their healthcare background. Okay, coming to business analytics, it is one of the booming industries across the world. Okay, and we all know that IT plays a very important role for the current sector. Okay, now student from IT background can study this course, especially because they need a good knowledge and understanding from the IT. Okay, now admission team requires them to be having background. It could be a qualification or a work experience. Okay, otherwise cannot be accepted. Current scenario from the job industries. Okay, so data science, business analytics are highly in demand. Okay, so one can expect to if they have the required skills, knowledge, they can expect to get a job pretty quickly. Okay, the last one is one of my favorite. Okay, so logistics and supply chain. Okay, and from a New Zealand point of it, we all agree that we heavily rely on import and export. Okay, so logistics and supply chain plays a very important role for our sector, for our community. Okay, so this program can be studied by anyone who's from a management or a non-management background. They don't need a qualification from logistics and supply chain. Anyone can study basically. Okay, now coming to the job opportunities, we all know during pandemic, during even current scenario. Okay, so we get most of our products by it could be by air, sea, or water. Okay, by air, by road, or by sea. Okay, so what we need to look at is how the market has changed. Okay, when it comes to logistics and supply chain, it has always increased in terms of demand. Okay, so if in the past we were getting 10 things, we are now getting 100 things. Okay, by logistics and supply chain. Okay, so which means by studying this course, logistics and supply chain, they get a good understanding about how things works on ground. Okay, it could be from import and export, or it could be about procurement, or it could be about documentation. Okay, operation. So there are various things one learns. Okay, so these all three majors are highly in demand in New Zealand right now.